What's up, guys? Brian here with Tactical Edge Traders. Little story time with Uncle Brian, huh? You know, a lot of times I hear people say around me, oh man, I can't do this, or you can't get ahead, or you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm reminded of the time when, I found Ben and Dunky, and I immediately had to ask these guys, hey, are you the real deal? Because I'm a hustler and I hate phonies. If you're the real deal, show me a bank account. And I could tell Ben had never really asked, no, never ever anyone had ever really just asked him that point blank. If you're the real deal, show me. And I want to be your apprentice. And I'll never forget, that the time I told him, hey, there's something I got to tell you because eventually when you get my last name, you might end up Googling me and you might be scared to death at the past that I have left behind. I'll tell you, blessed is the journey. Blessed is the journey. If you're all in, all out, my story is a story of redemption. This is me right here. Right? This was one of the first times that I met Kamala Harris when I was driving down a San Francisco street with cocaine and a gun and just got pulled over on a bicycle. And wouldn't you know it, that as I was sitting in the county jail in San Francisco, there was a person who worked in the evidence room who had developed a habit to crack cocaine. And this person ended up smoking my cocaine. I'll never forget. I was in the courtroom looking across at Kamala Harris. And well, first of all, my lawyer came to me and he said, hey, good news and then some bad news. You're going home today. The evidence in your case was cut open and some of the cocaine was taken out. You and 60 other people are going home today. Everybody who has a cocaine tampering case is leaving, but we would like you to stay on and be the first name in our suit because we can't have 60 people versus the city and county of California. So what do you think? Well, your boy is always one for the limelight, even when it's in the negative view. So I stayed on and I got to meet the Kamala herself right in there. It wasn't the best of conditions. And I'll never forget, as I walked out that courtroom, she was pissed. I was kind of bummed when she didn't get the presidency, because then I would have sought for a presidential pardon. And, I probably would have just wrote her later, hey, girl, you're doing good. Look at you. Look at me. Look at you. Can I get a pardon? Anyways, guys, I'm also reminded of one of the biggest days. And this is a story that I want to tell you guys that no matter where you're at in your journey, no matter what you've done, no matter what you're facing, I don't care what it is. This case here was the time that I single-handedly brought insurance to Airbnb. We were drug addicts in the midst of an identity crisis. So it was super easy to be anyone else. I mean, I wanted to be anyone but me. I wanted to pretend to be somebody rich. I wanted to pretend to be somebody this. And then one day, as I was in the inner city, I realized that the mailman can get into everybody's front door because the mailboxes in the inner city are all inside. How does the mailman do that? And so through close observation, we observed that the mailman has a special key. So one day we stole a lock. We stole a lock and we reverse engineered the postal key. To come to find out that this key was very dangerous to even possess, 5 years in the feds, and here's one of those keys. I keep this as a little bit of a memento to see the power of what I can do. There was a little company called Airbnb. Airbnb was a new company on the market. It had launched in 2008, and people would take a picture of their place and they would rent it out. Well, we were in the mailboxes and we would regularly come across credit card statements, balance transfer checks, social security numbers, date of births. So for 10 years, we became professional identity thieves. I mean, we took it to another level. I'm sure you might have heard of LifeLock. We used to work to lock someone else out of their lives. Well, it wasn't long till we got around to the Airbnb thing, and we thought, this is great. All you need to get a place is a credit card and an email. It took a little fine tuning. I can't really put too much game out there, and granted, I have changed my life and the feds have come and visited me and they have tried to get information out of me. And I've simply told them that, hey, I've done my time. I've paid back. And I'll even tell you a little story about the victim in this case that brought insurance to Airbnb. Well, it wasn't long after taking these Airbnbs that we got around to burglarizing one. Uh, and wouldn't you know it, that at the time when Airbnb was new, they didn't have any kind of insurance program or 24-hour thing. And the crazy thing was I had burglarized an Airbnb on an ankle monitoring device. Yes, I know, stupid, stupid. Brian went to jail. He got out. My girlfriend at the time was in an Airbnb. I went over to the Airbnb. We got into a fight. I stole a bunch of stuff. I went back to my grandma's house. They came with the battering ram and said, "You idiot, you robbed someone with a fucking monitoring device on your ankle. How stupid can you be?" And I thought, hey, man, what a crazy coincidence that somewhere I visited was burglarized. Gee, I do declare, I'm shocked. Anyways, they took me in, and they brushed me up. And this was right at the time, right here. There it is. Airbnb last month secured a $112 million and an evaluation of $1.3 billion. The cops came to my room with a newspaper. It was from the Washington Post, USA Today, and they said, "Hey, bro, you're federally fucked now. You are screwed. You are going away for a long, long time." And I thought to myself when I went to court and Mr. Brian Chesky was lingering around, I thought, perfect. This is how I'm going to get out of this crime, because he's not the victim. The victim is this person. You can't pay them back and then assume that you're the victim. Anyways, it all worked out pretty crazy. And I'll tell you a funny story about also how I went to prison for this crime. The sentence was 8 years. Actually, the judge offered me 8 years with 2 strikes. And I said, Your Honor, how about if you give me 2 strikes today and let me go? Next time you see me, that's life. And the judge knew me so well, Judge Lamb, he said, "Bilbao, you've been in here every year for the last 10 years when I didn't send you away to prison. If I gave you that today, I would surely be giving you life in prison." I'm so thankful for Mr. Lim that he knew me better than I knew myself. I ended up going and doing the 8 years, or 4 on 8 years, because they gave me half time. And when I got back, I got sober. And one of the first things that I did was I got high. I got high and I went over and I was in the dope house and somebody told me, "Brian, you know what? You're such a dirtbag. Have you read the blog of the person that you burglarized?" And I said, "No." And EJ, here it is. We'll look it up. EJ Airbnb Nightmare. It might not come up because I'm on stream right now. Airbnb Nightmare. And I always had these amazing goals for myself, and I always wanted to do big things. But in the beginning, those things were always on the backs of everyone else. And my father, who was a San Francisco cop, he used to tell me, say, "Brian, the good guys are winning, man. Why don't you get on the home team and come on in for the big win? We could take you out so easily as if everybody just went on vacation, because your coming up is on the backs of selling stolen shit for half price. It's pathetic. We have laws not to thwart crime, but for the convenience of the good person." And I remember I came home and I read this blog, and it was really moved me. It was a big pivotal moment for me because I knew I had to take this person and pay them back. So I wrote this lady EJ a letter and I said, "You know what? I took something from you that I can never return. I took away your faith in the world. Is there any way that I could repay you?" And she sent a letter through a lawyer that said, "Give me $36,000. And at the time, I was fresh out of prison, fresh out of a 60-day rehab. And I went to the bank. I was banking with the police credit union, and I asked them for $36,000 on a loan. And they said, "What's this money for?" And I said, "It's for the Victims Compensation Crime Fund. It's for one of my victims." And they said, "Well, awkward. Do you have any assets?" "Nope. I don't have any savings. I don't have any assets. I barely have a job. I make $11 an hour. I live on my dad's couch right now. And that's all I got going for me. But if you give me this money, I promise you that I'll make good on paying it back." And they gave me that money, and I was able to pay back EJ while I was in my early sobriety for my early years, making $11 an hour and paying them $352 a month. And I was able to pay her and then through staying sober and going to a meeting, wouldn't you know it? But I met the person that smoked my cocaine. And it was such a pivotal moment when I got to say to her, you know what? You got me out of jail that time. Thank you. And she said, no, thank you. If it wasn't for your cocaine, I wouldn't have burned my life to the ground. And then I wouldn't have had a fresh, clean slate to build off of. So wherever you guys are at, and I'll tell you, you guys know my story of where I've been through, right? This was my last address, and this is where I'm at now, baby. Blessed is the journey that keeps on moving forward for the right reasons. Just keep on putting one step in front of the other, and it has to work out. Never quit, never tap, never give up. You know,